Hello everyone. It's nice to have you here again. So we're going to see another lesson, and as you can see right here, the title of the lesson is "It was much more exciting." And in this lesson, we are going to discover some grammar and some vocabulary. For grammar, we will see comparison of adjectives or comparative adjectives with much. So here we have much plus comparative adjectives, or as. So this is another way of expressing comparison. And then the superlatives, right? For the vocabulary, we see adjectives that we use to express our opinion, right? But before this, we go through this first activity right here. So we have a question. It says, look at the photos, from 1 to 3. Can you name the films? Which ones have you seen? What did you think of them? All right. For first one, okay. I think everybody knows this person. So it's Harry Potter films, and I think that everybody likes Harry Potter. Everybody likes Spider-Man films. And the last one is the Pirates, okay, the Pirates of the Caribbean. Right. Now, what do you think about this film? Some may say that it's amazing, it's fascinating, it's brilliant, it's fantastic, and some say boring, right? Okay, but I think that it's amazing. Spider-Man, it's great. It's a great film. The Pirates is a good film too, right? Great. So these are the films. We have 3 films, and they are all, in my opinion, good. Now, in number 2, we have read the online messages. Which film series do they mention? Okay, so here we have 3 films. We will, of course, read and listen to the online messages, and then you tell me which film series do they mention, right? So, of course, we have different series that are mentioned, and it's up to you to follow and tell me after which ones are mentioned.
Lesson 2C. It was much more exciting. Exercise 2. Read the online messages. Which film series do they mention?
Film fan. The message board for all movie fans. What are your favourite film series?
I think mine are the Spider-Man films and the Pirates of the Caribbean series. Or the Shrek films. Movie Man.
Superheroes aren't really my thing, so I can't talk about Spider-Man. I like all the Shrek films, but they get less amusing after the first one. That's much funnier than the others. So my vote goes to Pirates. All the films are exciting. Johnny Depp for president.
I didn't think much of the Pirates films. The third one is the worst. The plot is very confusing. I like all the Shrek films. The first one is the funniest. But they are all quite funny. Film fan 3.
Well, Spider-Man 2 and 3 were less interesting than Spider-Man 1. The first one was awesome. Sequels aren't as good as first films. Leeds Girl.
I agree with Leeds Girl about sequels. First films are always the best. For example, the first Matrix was brilliant. It was much more exciting than the others. Maxi 7.
No, sequels aren't always worse. X-Men 2 was much better than the first one, and the later Harry Potter films are as good as the first ones. Batman Lives.
What about the Lord of the Rings series? Those are the most amazing films ever. Northern Lad.
Right. Okay. So here we go back to the question that says which series or which films are mentioned in the messages, right? I think that it's easy to find the films that are mentioned. So we have here the Spider-Man, superheroes. We have the Shrek, and we have also the Pirates, right? Here Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1, sequels, and we have the Matrix, then X-Men 2, and Harry Potter films. And as well, in the last message, we have the Lord of the Ring series. Okay, so a number of films mentioned by everyone here, right? Good. So now we can go back to the other parts of it's about comprehension, right here. The question says complete the sentences with likes or doesn't like. Of course, you will stop the video, then you check every opinion to answer with like or doesn't like. For the first one, here's an example. Johnny Depp, for president, doesn't like superheroes. What about number 2, Film 3? Does he like or doesn't like? So Philman doesn't like Pirates of the Caribbean. Doesn't like. So we put doesn't like here. Liz Girl also doesn't like. Doesn't like sequels. Maxi 7, the first Matrix film. So here, Maxi 7 likes the first Matrix film. Number 5, Batman Lives, X-Men 2. So Batman Lives likes X-Men 2. And the last one, Northernland. Right? So Northernland likes the Lord of the Rings films. Okay, so he said that they are the most amazing films ever. So he likes. Good. Now we move to vocabulary right here. Of course, here adjectives of opinion. We talk about adjectives of opinion. So here we listen and you listen and repeat, then find words in the box with similar meanings to the words in bold. So we have amazing, amusing, awesome, awful, boring, brilliant, confusing, dreadful, dull, excellent, fantastic, fascinating, sad, scary, and terrible. So here we have an example. Number 1, it was not interesting. Okay, so not interesting means boring or dull. For number two, it was frightening. It was frightening. The word that has the same meaning with frightening from the box is scary. Okay, so scary, frightening, scary. Number three, it was funny. It was funny. So we can say that funny is amusing, right? Amusing. It was very bad. Terrible. Very bad means terrible. The ending was unhappy. We can say that it was sad. It was very good. We can say fantastic, right? It was difficult to understand, confusing, and it was very interesting. We can say fascinating. Okay, so we repeat again. So we said frightening, scary, funny. What? Funny, we can say amusing, very bad, terrible, unhappy, sad, very good, brilliant, okay, brilliant, and difficult to understand, confusing, very interesting, fascinating. Okay, that's the possible meanings to the words. Now we can move to grammar box right here. So it shows us how we form the comparative adjectives, and it shows us how to form the superlative adjectives. As you can see in the examples, we have that's much funnier than the others, and in sentence number 2, it was much more or less exciting than the others. It was much better, worse than the first one. Okay, so here I think that we studied before how to make a comparative adjective. Okay, the form with short adjectives, long adjectives, and irregular adjectives. And here what we have as a plus is this much, right? And this part as. Remember that here we for example the adjective funny, we have funnier. If we want to use it with as, we keep it as it is. Okay, and we will see examples that show this. For example, sequels are not as good as first films. So good, it is an irregular adjective, but we keep it as it is, no change, because we have these tools that we use to have a comparative sentence. Okay, for the superlative we have examples also. First films are always the best. The third one is the worst. Those are the most or least amazing films. So we get superlative by adding est, or the most for est for the short adjective. For example, if we take funny, we can say funniest. If we take exciting, we say the most exciting, the most amazing, the most beautiful. And here it's irregular, so it's so the worst. The worst is the superlative form of the adjective bad. Okay, so the best and the worst are irregular adjectives. So here good, and here bad. Fine. Now we practice this thing that we have learned in the box right here, in this table. In this part of practice, it says write sentences to compare these three films. Use superlatives, not as or much, and comparative adjectives. Right. So here we have a table in which we have the film, the adjectives, right? So these are the stars that show that you like or you don't like the film. So we will see this example to understand clearly the table and what we have to do. Number one, the crunch and someday soon. So we have to compare between the crunch and someday soon. As you can see, the crunch, okay, with the crunch, we have just 2 stars in funny, right? But someday soon we have 5 stars, right? So here in this example, we say the crunch is not as funny as someday soon, right? It means that someday soon is much funnier than the crunch. Someday soon is much funnier than the crunch. Someday soon is much funnier than the crunch. This is it. Now we go to number 2. Someday soon and funny. But we have just one thing to compare, and here we use the superlative. We say someday soon is the funniest. Someday soon is the funniest, because it has 5 stars. And this is what we have here in the explanation, in the example. Now number 3, the crunch, the stars, and we have funny, right? The crunch and the stars, we have funny. So we take the crunch and the stars, so we have 2 stars for each. Okay? It means that they are equal. So we say the crunch is as funny as the stars. So the crunch is as funny as the stars. No difference, okay? Number 4, the crunch and someday soon. The crunch and someday soon. So we take the crunch, we have exciting, so we take exciting, 3 stars, someday soon, 2 stars. So we say that the crunch is much more exciting, than someday soon, is much more exciting than someday soon. For number 5, someday soon, the crunch, someday soon, the crunch, we have good. So someday soon we have 4 stars, but the crunch is 1 star. So we say that someday soon is much better than the crunch, is much better than the crunch. The last one, 6, the crunch, we have only 1 adjective, bad, right? So we have to make it in the superlative form. We say that the crunch is the worst. Sorry, is the worst. The crunch is the worst. Great. So this is all about the table. And for practice. For practice, I think that you will have to do this part of speaking, and as usual, as I ask my students to record audio messages, and then you practice these adjectives in comparative and superlative sentences, right? And for more extra practice, you go to page 117 to find more about the comparative and superlative adjectives. So I think that our lesson is over. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.